My next book is called Who is Raising Your Children? Who is raising your children? You might say, well, parents, parents are raising our children. But is that really so? The control of education is happening more and more, is transferring more and more into the hands of teachers, schools, national education boards, standardized training, standardized exams, what it takes to get to the next level of education, to get jobs. So these are systems that are raising your children. And these systems in India are now under the control of globalists. We talk about that in this book. Globalists are people who have a vision of what the future of humanity should be like. It's their ideology. They're very rich people, some of them. Some of them belong to certain religions, global religious institutions, or certain governments, or certain ideologies. So this problem of globalists taking over education, media, policy making, corporate, DEI systems, etc., is a serious problem. We discussed it in our earlier book, Snakes in the Ganga, where we talked about woke taking over places like Harvard and using that as a springboard to get into the corporate arena and taking over the entire corporate DEI. Now, this book, Who is Raising Your Children, talks about the education system, not Harvard, but K through 12, not the corporate America, corporate India, corporate people all over the world, how they're being wokeized, but the school system. Basically, the control of your children amounts to the following ideological interventions, which are not in harmony with your heritage, your culture, and the values of parents, but the belief systems of other people who are running the education system. First is, Marxism does not want national boundaries to be very important, because national boundaries prevent this global revolution that Marxism wants. The global revolution where the so-called underdogs, the so-called oppressed, are going to rise and overthrow the oppressors. So that requires dismantling nations, and this is called global citizenship education. The United Nations has come out with a global citizenship curriculum, and this global citizenship curriculum actually makes fun of those who are patriotic, nationalistic. It comes up with values that it says are in alignment with globalism. And so this global citizenship is actually a very nice sounding framework and a nice sounding terminology to turn your kids into people who are not aligned with local, national, cultural ideas, but global ideas, which means that once they have become globalists, they are listening to some globalist ideologues, globalist movements, all this in the name of being global citizenship, global citizens. So if you look at the curriculum, you'll find global citizenship is a term used very often, and it's a way to open the door towards all this. Families are a threat. Yes, families are a threat to the woke people, because families protect and preserve culture and they pass it on to the next generation. So they decided that one way to get rid of this cultural transmission is to attack the families. And this is being done through various movements, whether it is trans movement, things that destroy the idea of a father, mother, children, that sort of thing. And new kinds of configurations, new genders, new pronouns are all part of that, are all part of dismantling, and they use the word dismantling these kinds of traditional systems. So if you look at what are the mechanisms through which this is coming? Surprisingly, United Nations has something called SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs 2030, which everybody has signed up for, and everybody is required to conform to these SDGs, which means by 2030 you'll achieve certain sustainability development goals. Now, what could be wrong with sustainability? We want sustainability. Our dharma says sustainability. But here the meaning of sustainability is quite different. It started out as saying, okay, we want development goals to help poor countries become rich. Development goals. It used to be that. UN was for development. But then sustainable development meant that you want to do development in a way that will not overheat the climate, not burn too much fossil fuels, carbon neutral. Fine, all that's great. So we want sustainable development in terms of environment. But then that wasn't good enough. Marxism came in and said sustainability also should apply to human beings, cultures. And the culture of people oppressing others is not sustainable, so we ought to bring in social justice. So now sustainability development also includes social justice. And what is social justice? Social justice is all this Dalit activism, Islam, the Palestinians need liberation from the Jews because they are oppressing. Khalistanis need liberation from the rest of the Indians because Khalistanis are oppressed. Yes, that is true. That is part of this. Canada has given the Khalistanis a special status as refugees, and they go in the fast track and become refugees because under the Canadian belief system or under the Canadian politics, Khalistanis are endangered in India. They are endangered in India because the Indian state is oppressing them, they say, and therefore they are oppressed, and the Indian state is the oppressor. So Muslims are oppressed, the non-Muslims are the oppressor, LGBTQ are oppressed, the people who are straight are the oppressor, blacks are oppressed, whites are the oppressor, Dalits are oppressed, Hindus, the rest of the Hindus are oppressors, and so on. So it's a coalition of the oppressed, which is called wokeism, and that's what the new Marxism is. And this is being taught in the school systems, and we show who's teaching it, how the NCERT has failed, how the national education policy is actually bringing this in under the name of social sciences. They're bringing in social sciences into the IITs and into the school systems and so on. But these social sciences are not as per Vedic ideas of social sciences. These are not Vedic social sciences. These are Marxist social sciences. So I also have in this book a comparison between Vedic social sciences and Marxist social sciences. What would be the Vedic idea of diversity and inclusion versus the Marxist idea, which is a very different idea. So if you read this book, you will realize that under the nice, jargon, DEI, social justice, woke, all these kind of things, ESG, etc., SDGs from the United Nations, under this jargon, there is a lot of mess, and you need to know what exactly that includes, what exactly is going on. You may like it or you may not like it, that's your choice, but you should not be ignorant of it. And our goal in writing this book is to inform you so you can make more intelligent choices. I hope you read it, discuss it, get back to us with your views. We're available for debate, discussion, and so on. All the best to you. Thank you very much for listening.